The laughter started before the janitor even reached the conference table. 40 executives in tailored suits sat around a polished glass table on the 50th floor of Raventech International. Screens glowed with financial projections worth billions. Cameras streamed the annual leadership summit to regional offices across 3 continents. And standing beside the door with a mop bucket was a single father named Daniel Brooks. Nobody noticed him at first. Nobody except CEO Victor Hale. Victor was famous for his sharp mind, ruthless leadership, and even sharper tongue. Employees admired him from a distance and feared him up close. As the meeting paused for a technical adjustment, Victor glanced toward Daniel and smirked. "Hey, janitor." Several executives looked up. Daniel stopped politely. "Yes, sir?" Victor waved a sheet of paper in the air. "We just received a partnership proposal from a company in Tokyo. The document is written in Japanese." A few executives chuckled. Victor continued. "Maybe you can help us." More laughter. Daniel remained silent. The CEO grinned wider. "Translate this." "If you can, my salary's yours." The room erupted. The joke was obvious. A janitor translating a complex international business contract. Impossible. Victor walked forward and handed him the document. "Go ahead." Several executives pulled out phones. Someone whispered, "This is going to be good." Daniel looked down at the paper. Then something unexpected happened. His eyes moved across the text. Once. Twice. Then he began speaking. Not in English. Japanese. Fluent. Perfect. The room froze. The laughter died instantly. Victor's smile disappeared. Daniel continued for nearly 2 minutes, translating every section without hesitation. Market forecasts. Legal obligations. Partnership conditions. Revenue projections. Penalty clauses. Everything. By the time he finished, the silence was so complete that the air conditioning sounded deafening. One executive finally whispered, "How?" Daniel calmly handed back the paper. "There is also a mistake in section 4. Victor blinked. "What?" "The translation prepared by your legal department is incorrect." Daniel pointed at a paragraph. "It changes the meaning of the liability clause. If signed in its current form, Raventech could be responsible for losses exceeding $80 million. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The company's chief legal officer grabbed the document and quickly compared both versions. His face turned pale. "He's right." A shockwave passed through the room. Victor stared at Daniel as if seeing him for the first time. "Who are you?" Daniel offered a small smile. "Just the janitor." Then he turned and pushed his mop bucket out of the room. The meeting never recovered. For the rest of the day, executives whispered about the strange janitor who spoke Japanese better than professional translators. What nobody knew was that Daniel had once spoken 6 languages fluently. Nobody knew he had graduated at the top of his university. Nobody knew he had spent years negotiating international contracts worth hundreds of millions. Because nobody had ever asked. 3 years earlier, Daniel's life had looked completely different. He had been a rising star in global business consulting. His clients included multinational corporations and government agencies. His future looked limitless. Then tragedy struck. A drunk driver crossed the highway median and crashed into his family's vehicle. His wife Emily died before reaching the hospital. Daniel survived. So did their 5-year-old daughter Sophie. But everything changed. Grief destroyed his concentration. Clients left. Projects collapsed. The consulting firm he built slowly disintegrated. Medical bills consumed his savings. Legal battles consumed the rest. When everything ended, Daniel found himself unemployed, heartbroken, and raising a traumatized child alone. The janitor position at Raventech wasn't part of some secret plan. It was survival. The job offered healthcare. Flexible shifts. Enough money for rent and Sophie's school supplies. That was all he needed. Or so he thought. The morning after the translation incident, Daniel arrived at work as usual. Something felt different. Employees who normally ignored him suddenly greeted him. Executives stared. Whispers followed him through hallways. At noon, a secretary approached. "The CEO wants to see you." Daniel sighed. That could mean anything. He entered the executive floor and found Victor Hale waiting. The CEO studied him carefully. "No jokes today." Daniel nodded. Good. Victor folded his hands. Who are you really? Daniel told him the truth. Not all of it. Just enough. Former consultant. Languages. International negotiations. Family tragedy. Career collapse. Single father. Victor listened quietly. When Daniel finished, the CEO leaned back. And now you're cleaning floors. Someone has to. For the first time, Victor seemed embarrassed. I mocked you. Yes. I owe you an apology. Daniel shrugged. It's forgotten. No. Victor shook his head. I don't think it is. The CEO opened a folder. Inside was an offer. A management position. 6-figure salary. Company vehicle. Executive benefits. Daniel looked at it. Then pushed it back. Victor frowned. You don't want it? I didn't ask for it. Most people would kill for this opportunity. Daniel smiled faintly. Most people don't have Sophie. The CEO looked confused. My daughter. Daniel continued. The janitor shift lets me take her to school and pick her up every afternoon. I eat dinner with her every night. Victor remained silent. No salary increase is worth losing that. For perhaps the first time in years, someone had rejected one of Victor Hale's offers. The CEO stared at him for several seconds. Then slowly nodded. I understand. But the story should have ended there. It didn't. 2 weeks later, disaster struck Raventech. The Tokyo partnership deal collapsed unexpectedly. Stock prices dropped. Investors panicked. Media attacks intensified. Competitors celebrated. Internal forecasts predicted losses approaching $400 million. Emergency meetings filled every executive calendar. One evening, Daniel was emptying trash bins outside a conference room when raised voices echoed through the door. We're running out of options. The investors are furious. We need a recovery strategy. Nobody noticed the janitor listening. Daniel heard enough to understand the situation. He hesitated. Then walked away. Not his business. Not his responsibility. Yet all evening he couldn't stop thinking. At midnight, after Sophie fell asleep, he opened his old laptop. For 6 straight hours he analyzed public records, financial statements, market trends, and competitor activity. By sunrise he had created a detailed recovery strategy. 37 pages. He printed it. Placed it in an envelope. And anonymously left it on the conference table. Then he returned to cleaning floors. The following day chaos erupted. Executives discovered the document. At first they assumed it came from an expensive consulting firm. Then they realized nobody had commissioned it. The strategy was brilliant. Aggressive but practical. Risky but achievable. More importantly, it worked. Within 3 months Raventech recovered nearly half its losses. Within 6 months investors regained confidence. Within a year the company reached record profits. Nobody knew who created the plan. Until security footage revealed the truth. Victor Hale watched the recording 3 times. Then a 4th. Then a 5th. The mysterious strategist was Daniel. The janitor. Victor sat alone in his office for nearly an hour. Eventually he picked up his phone. Get Daniel Brooks. This time the meeting felt very different. No mockery. No jokes. No tests. Victor stood when Daniel entered. Stood. The CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation rose from his chair to greet a janitor. Daniel noticed. So did everyone outside the glass office. Victor slid a folder across the desk. Daniel opened it. His eyes widened. The offer was unlike anything he had ever seen. Executive Vice President. Equity ownership. Performance bonuses. Flexible schedule. Remote work options. Compensation worth millions. Victor spoke carefully. This isn't charity. Daniel remained quiet. You saved this company. I only made suggestions. They saved us. Victor leaned forward. And this time I'm not taking no for an answer. Daniel laughed softly. You sound confident. I am. The CEO extended his hand. Daniel stared at it. Years earlier he would have accepted instantly. But life had changed him. Success meant something different now. Money meant something different. Everything meant something different. What about Sophie? Victor smiled. What about her? Daniel looked skeptical. Victor pressed a button. The office door opened. An HR director entered carrying another folder. Inside were documents. Childcare support. Private education assistance. Flexible executive scheduling. Family travel benefits. Everything designed around Daniel's daughter. The CEO looked directly at him. Your career shouldn't cost your family. Daniel felt something tighten in his chest. For years nobody had considered that. Nobody except another parent would understand. Victor quietly added, I checked. My son was 6 when I nearly lost my marriage chasing success. The room fell silent. Daniel slowly closed the folder. For a moment neither man spoke. Then Daniel extended his hand. Victor shook it. The partnership became company history. But the most shocking moment came months later. Raventech held its annual shareholder conference. Thousands attended. Media outlets broadcast worldwide. Investors expected discussions about profits and growth. Instead, Victor Hale stepped onto the stage and surprised everyone. Behind him appeared a giant photograph. A janitor pushing a mop bucket. Gasps spread through the audience. Victor pointed toward the image. 1 year ago, I made the biggest mistake of my professional life. The room listened carefully. I judged a man by his uniform. Silence. I assumed education, intelligence, and value could be measured by job titles. Then Victor invited Daniel onto the stage. The crowd erupted. Executives stood. Investors stood. Employees stood. Thousands applauded. Many didn't even know why. Victor waited until the noise settled. Then he told the entire story. The translation challenge. The hidden expertise. The recovery strategy. The sacrifices of a single father. Everything. By the time he finished, many audience members were visibly emotional. Victor turned toward Daniel. You taught me something. Daniel looked surprised. The CEO smiled. The most valuable people in any organization are often the ones nobody notices. For several seconds the room remained silent. Then the standing ovation returned. Louder than before. Longer than before. And somewhere in the front row sat 11-year-old Sophie. Her eyes shone with pride. When the applause finally ended, she ran onto the stage. Daniel knelt and hugged her. Cameras flashed. Investors smiled. Employees cheered. But Daniel barely noticed. Because at that moment, nothing mattered except the little girl in his arms. Years earlier he had lost almost everything. His wife. His company. His dreams. His certainty. His future. Yet somehow, through heartbreak and struggle, he had gained something far more valuable. Perspective. The crowd continued applauding. Victor Hale stepped aside and let the moment belong to them. A father and daughter. A janitor and a leader. A man everyone underestimated. And a lesson nobody would forget. Because sometimes the person holding the mop knows more than the people holding the microphones. Sometimes the quietest voice in the room carries the greatest wisdom. And sometimes the man being laughed at today is the very man who will save everyone tomorrow.